Hi everyone, today we're talking about equations with transversal angles. As a reminder, you do not need to write down everything we'll cover in this video, but be sure to jot down important information and at least one example of each type of problem that we'll cover. Also remember, you can pause to jot down important notes, rewind to view information again, and fast forward if you think you got it. Be careful, make sure you don't fast forward so much that you miss out on something important. So as a review, the transversal and two parallel lines will create four types of congruent angles. They are your vertical angles, ones across from each other, corresponding angles, ones with the same corresponding locations, same side, same top or bottom, alternate interior angles, so opposite sides but inside, alternate exterior angles, opposite sides but outside. And the equation, because today we're talking about how to set up an equation that you can set up, since they're congruent, would be one angle equal the other angle, because congruent just means they're equal to each other. Make sure you have this written down in your notes, that these are the four types of congruent angles that will create an equation where one side equals the other. The other type of equation that you can create is when you have two non-congruent angles. So it's like if you mix match these together. If they're not congruent, then they should make a straight line. So because of that, they're going to always add up to 180 degrees. So the equation you're going to come up with would be one angle plus the other angle equals 180 degrees as their sum. Again, make sure this is in your notes. We'll go over some examples later. And here again is just examples of equations. If they are congruent, then they should be set equal to each other. Like in this example, both are 124 degrees. If they are not congruent, together they should make a straight line. 124 plus 56 is 180. Same with these alternate interiors. If they are both the same alternate interior, they should be equal to each other, like the green and orange. But if they are not alternate interiors together, then they should add up to 180 degrees. You can always use your Harry Potter scar kind of shortcut where you have the dots on the vertical angles and connect them to make a scar. If they both have dots or both are blank, then you can set them equal to each other. If one has a dot and the other is blank, then they're going to not be congruent and they're going to be adding up to equal 180. So let's go on and do some examples. So these examples will require you to first figure out if the two angles they gave you are equal to each other or not, and then set up an equation. So go ahead and pause this video and first decide if they're equal to each other, angle A and B, and then if you can set up an equation and solve for angle A. All right, so we're going to go down the list of the different types of angles and see if they are congruent. Are these two vertical? No, vertical would be across from each other. These two are not across from each other. Are they corresponding? Corresponding means they're on the same side. One's on the left side and one's on the right side, and one's on top and one's on the bottom, so they're not corresponding. Are they alternate interior? Alternate interior would mean that both are inside but on opposite sides. This would be inside, so they are not. And alternate exterior would mean that they're both on the outside, so that's good. And alternate, one's on the left side and one's on the right side of this transversal. Right side, left side. So it looks like they are alternate exterior. As long as they are one of these four congruent types of angles, then we can set them equal to each other. So that tells us that our equation is going to be 6x minus 2 equals 4x plus 48. I just put each of those angles equal to each other because alternate exterior angles are always going to be congruent or equal to each other. Now that I'm here, I can solve. I have nothing to combine on the left-hand side. These are not like terms. Nothing to combine on the right-hand side, so now I have to start moving things. Let me move my x's first. I have 6 x's on the left-hand side, 4 x's on the right-hand side. So I'm going to move the smaller amount of x's. In order to move it, I need to perform the opposite operation so that I can cancel it. 4 x's minus 4 x's is no x's left over, only 48 on the right-hand side, equal gets dropped down. 6x minus 4x is 2x minus 2. Now I have all my x's on the left-hand side. I need to move my numbers, my constants, to the right-hand side. So that means I need to move the minus 2 over by adding 2 to both sides so that minus 2 and plus 2 will cancel on the left-hand side. I just get 2x left over equals 50. So slowly I am simplifying this equation. Now it's 2 times x, so the opposite is to divide by 2. That cancels. Times 2 and divide by 2 cancel each other out. 50 divided by 2 is 25. This answer is not 25 because they want to know the measurement of angle A. Angle A is 6x minus 2. 6 times whatever I got for x, which is 25, minus 2. 6 times 25 would be 150. It's like 6 quarters is $1.50. Minus 2 is 148. So the answer is 148 degrees. Since these two angles are equal to each other, this should also equal to 148 degrees. You can check it just in case if you want to. This is 4 quarters, which is 100 plus 48. Yes, 100 plus 48 is 148 degrees. So it checks out. Okay. So those two were congruent. We set them equal to each other. Let's try another one. So you're going to do the same thing. First, figure out if they are congruent to each other or not. If they are, set them equal to each other. If they are not, then you're going to have them add up to 180. So go ahead and pause and try this one on your own first. Okay, I'm going to go down my list again. Corresponding, vertical, alternate interior, alternate exterior. So are these vertical across from each other? No, they are not across from each other. So that's out. Corresponding. Corresponding would mean they're on the same side. Okay, they're both below this transversal. This one is underneath the parallel line. This one is above the parallel line. So they're not corresponding. In order for them to be corresponding, it would have to be like one's here and one's here, or one's here and one's here. Same side, same location. So we don't have that. Alternate interior would mean they're both inside. So they are both inside these parallel lines. So far so good. And alternate would mean they're on the opposite side. So if B was on the left-hand side, A would have to be on the right-hand side. And that is not true. So let's see, alternate exterior would mean they're both outside. And that's not true as well. The closest they were was alternate interior, and they were not. So they are not congruent. These two angles are not congruent. So we cannot make them equal to each other. That means we would have to add them up and have their sum equal to 180. So we have angle A is 6x minus 18, and angle B is 14x plus 38. This is the equation that we can make Since they are not congruent with each other, that means they would have to add up to 180 degrees. And that would be like if I took this angle A, this blue one, and I translated it, I slid it this way, so now it's over here. Well, together, they make a straight line. Together, they're going to make 180 degrees. So that's why we came up with this equation. Now, if I were to solve this equation, I'm going to first check to see if there are any like terms I can combine on the left-hand side. I have a 6x and a 14x. Together, they're going to make 20x. I also have minus 18 and a plus 38. So that's like 38 minus 18. And that would be 20. So this is plus 20 since it's a positive 20. And then I solve it like a normal two-step equation. So x's are all on the left-hand side. That means my numbers, my constants, need to join on the right-hand side. Subtract 20, the opposite. So I get 20x equals 160. Now this is multiplied by 20, so I'm going to divide by 20. The only time you don't do the opposite is if they're both on the same side. Because they're on the same side. They would just add together. 160 divided by 20 is the same as 16 divided by 2, which is 8. So x is equal to 8, but that's not what we want. We want angle A. Angle A is 6 times Rx minus 18. Rx is 8. 6 times 8 is 48. Minus 18 is 30 degrees. If we were to plug it into the other one, 14 times 8 plus 38, we're not going to get the same thing because together they had add up to 180. So we should get 150 so that they add to get 180. 14 times 8 I have to do in my calculator. That's 112 plus 38 is 150. So it checks out that they're both going to add up to 180 and form a straight line. Okay, so there's an example of each type. They're either equal to each other because they're one of the 4 that we learned that are congruent, or they're not and they just add up to 180. Let me know if you have any questions as you work on these problems, and I'll see you in class.